Riddance of 5 kinds of false thinking. Deluded conceptualization is the mental processes of living beings on greed, hatred, and stupidity. Practitioners should never look for some wonderful place where thoughts will not occur, since the thoughts are basically not real. They appear, and at some point, they get dimmer and less imperative, and eventually they will fade out by themselves. The best way for us to realize the unreality of thoughts is just sitting still and letting thoughts appear and disappear by themselves. In the Surangama Sutra, Book 10, having heard the Buddha's instruction on the 5 skandhas, Ananda arose from his seat. He bowed and respectfully asked the Buddha, "The Buddha has told us that in the manifestation of the 5 skandhas, there are 5 kinds of falseness that come from our own thinking minds. We have never before been blessed with such subtle and wonderful instructions as the Tathagata has now given. Further, are these 5 skandhas destroyed all at the same time, or are they extinguished in sequence? What are the boundaries of these 5 layers? We only hope the Tathagata, out of great compassion, will explain this in order to purify the eyes and illuminate the minds of those in the great assembly, and in order to serve as eyes for living beings of the future." The Buddha told Ananda, "The essential, true, wonderful brightness and perfect purity of basic enlightenment does not admit birth and death, nor any mundane defilements, nor even empty space itself. All these are brought forth because of false thinking. The source of basic enlightenment, which is wonderfully bright, true, and pure, falsely gives rise to the material world. Just as Yajnadatta became confused about his head when he saw his own reflection in the mirror. The falseness basically has no cause, but in your false thinking, you set up causes and conditions. But those who are confused about the principle of causes and conditions call it spontaneity. Even empty space is an illusory creation. How much more so are causes and conditions and spontaneity, which are mere speculations made by the false minds of living beings. Ananda, if you perceive the arising of falseness, you can speak of the causes and conditions of that falseness. But if the falseness has no source, you will have to say that the causes and conditions of that falseness basically have no source. How much the more is this the case for those who fail to understand this and advocate spontaneity? Therefore, the Tathagata has explained to you that the fundamental cause of all 5 skandhas is false thinking. First, the false thinking of the form skandha. Your body's initial cause was a thought on the part of your parents. But if you had not entertained any thought in your own mind, you would not have been born. Life is perpetuated by means of thought. As I have said before, when you call to mind the taste of vinegar, your mouth waters. When you think of walking along a precipice, the soles of your feet tingle. Since the precipice doesn't exist, and there isn't any vinegar, how could your mouth water at the mere mention of vinegar? If it were not the case that your body originated from falseness, therefore you should know that your present physical body is brought about by the first kind of false thinking, which is characterized by solidity. Second, the false thinking of the feeling skandha. As described earlier, merely thinking about a high place can cause your body to tingle and ache. Due to that cause, feeling arise and affect your body, so that at present you pursue pleasant feelings and are repelled by unpleasant feelings. These 2 kinds of feelings that compel you are brought about by the second kind of false thinking, which is characterized by illusory clarity. Third, the false thinking of the thinking skandha. Once your thoughts arise, they can control your body, since your body is not the same as your thoughts. Why is it that your body follows your thoughts and engages in every sort of grasping at objects? A thought arises, and the body grasps at things in response to the thought. When you are awake, your mind thinks. When you are asleep, you dream. Thus, your thinking is stirred to perceive false situations. This is the third kind of false thinking, which is characterized by interconnectedness. Fourth, the false thinking of the formation skandha. The metabolic processes never stop. They progress through subtle changes. Your nails and hair grow, your energy wanes, and your skin becomes wrinkled. These processes continue day and night, and yet you never wake up to them. If these things aren't part of you, Ananda, then why does your body keep changing? And if they are really part of you, then why aren't you aware of them? Your formation skandha continues, in thought after thought without cease. It is the fourth kind of false thinking, which is subtle and hidden. Fifth, the false thinking of the consciousness skandha. If you are pure, bright, clear, and unmoving state is permanent, then there should be no seeing, hearing, awareness, or knowing in your body. If it is genuinely pure and true, it should not contain habits or falseness. How does it happen, then, that having seen some unusual things in the past, you eventually forget it over time, until neither memory nor forgetfulness of it remain? But then later, upon suddenly seeing that unusual thing again, you remember it clearly, from before without forgetting a single detail? How can you keep track of the permeation that goes on in thought after thought in this pure, clear, and unmoving consciousness? Ananda, you should know that this state of clarity is not real. It is like rapidly flowing water that appears to be still on the surface. Due to its speed, you cannot perceive the flow, but that does not mean it is not flowing. If this were not the source of thinking, then how could one be subject to false habits? If you do not open and unite your six sense faculties so that they function interchangeably, this false thinking will never cease. That's why your seeing, hearing, awareness, and knowing are presently strung together by subtle habits, so that within the profound clarity, existence and non-existence are both unreal. This is the fifth kind of upside-down, minutely subtle thinking. Buddhist practitioners should always remember that Buddhist teaching, Buddhism, is easy to say, but not easy to do or to practice. However, when we really want to cultivate, we have no other choice but trying to let go all these false thinkings. For being able to do this also means that we have already pushed away great obstacles on our own path of cultivation. Polluted thoughts comprise a wide range of thoughts. If we are greedy for delicious food, we have polluted thoughts on food. If we wish to listen to fine sounds, we have polluted thoughts on sounds. If we wish to experience sensual pleasures, we have polluted thoughts on sensual pleasures, and so on. If we practice meditation, we can stop our idle thoughts and cultivate the way with our true mind. Then our merit and virtue will be measureless and boundless. But if we do not take time to cultivate, there is no use just talking Dharma. According to the study of mind only, false thoughts are simply the objects of the six senses. If we understand this, we can reject false thoughts as soon as they appear. As a matter of fact, if we are determined to keep our mind clear of any thought, false thoughts automatically disappear. This is the simplest way of practicing meditation. When we are walking, standing, sitting or lying down, whenever a thought arises, we recognize it, but do not follow it. That is practicing of meditation. We do not have to wait for the time to sit down in meditation to practice meditation. Thus, for practitioners, we can practice meditation at any time, anywhere, while at work or at home. Just realize the truth. Practitioners should always remember that it is very crucial that we maintain a clear mind to gain wisdom. and remove ignorance. We must use our perfect wisdom to realize that delusions are false, illusory, and they will automatically disappear.